lower part of the screen. That will indicate to you how many times he's put his feet down. 1 point, 2 points he'll get now for a second dab. He'll be allowed to put his foot down one more time, but after that, he gets 5 points and he might as well give up because that's the maximum you can get for a fault. These riders have 7 minutes to complete all 6 sections. That's 7 minutes of elapsed time riding around all 6 sections, and after that, they pick up another penalty point for being over time. And you can see he's already taken over a minute on this section. Six sections with wondrous names. It's themes happening in Paris. Well, there's all sorts of things happening in Paris. There's the cable reels. You'll see those a little bit later on. Well, that's not bad effort there, actually, from Camozzi. So Camozzi goes through. I'll try and bring you some of the sections later on in the programme, because certainly he's looking there at the scoreboard. That'll give him his elapsed time and exactly where he ends up. 3 points he got there then for that particular time. Now, Amos Bilbao. This man is no slouch either. Bilbao, I'm looking down our standings, is 9th in the Indoor Trials World Championship at this moment in time. And he starts his launch up the impossible mountain. Mount Impossible is where he is at the moment. And believe me, this is no easy section. Easily the longest of all 6. Remember, they've also got their eye on not losing that 1 penalty point for being over time. Bilbao riding a Montesa with a Honda engine. 3 Grand Prix victories in his career. 4th in the World Trials Championship in 1993. Very popular in the northwest of Spain, this man. Jordi Tarrés took over his place at Gas. That's why the man is now riding a Montesa Honda. Very stylish and extremely popular with the fans. Also extremely fit. Incidentally, I almost forgot, this is his comeback after serious injury. So, Bilbao having a bit of a warm-up here at Bercy, and these sections get more and more difficult every year. This is the 17th round in the series this year. 4 points are being awarded here to the World Championship. Oh, 1 foot down, well, you can see just how difficult it is here, the control of these motorcycles. That man to the left, by the way, is not a spectator that's fell out of the stands. He's actually a marshal ready to catch Mr. Bilbao. Right between the eyes. So the Montesa then edges its way to the edge. And that's him out of the section. 1:49 then for Amos Bilbao. Not happy with that. Translations, please. Well, give him a 5 there. So Steve Colley and Bruno Camozzi. Now this is a head-to-head in the Vitesse Parallel. Parallel racing across this, and you wait till you see this. This is something to behold indeed. Control is all. And Steve Colley, well, nearly 22, we should say, at this meeting, but by the time I read this out to you, he will be 22. So Colley then getting a head start. Colley's 5, 6 is Bilbao. I'm sorry, it's Camozzi. 5 is Colley. Look at the control. Steve Colley then getting off to a good start at the moment. He's head-to-head in front of Camozzi. Now, you add together the points that he may get for putting his feet down or whatever. Oh, having to reverse up a little bit there, so Camozzi gets a head start on things. But the first over the line is Colley. Look at that. Oh, Camozzi nearly dived. Oh, look at that. Well, Colley straight to his rescue. That's a big old drop down there. So Camozzi, Bruno Camozzi then, 22 years old, finds himself in all sorts of trouble, and Steve Colley comes to the rescue. Steve Colley, by the way, got across the line first, which means that Camozzi ends up picking up an extra point. So on top of their scores, they also get a point for finishing second in that parallel race. Let's take another look at that. Colley just about over. Camozzi knew he was in big trouble when he came to the top. Well, Jordi Tarrés, he's on La Tourette, which is the cable reels. Tara's at the moment is in second place in this series. Coloma, who we've not seen yet, is on 822 points, and Tara's is on 728 points going into this round. 100 points will go to the winner here tonight. 85 to the second place man, 75 to the third place man, fourth will get 65, fifth 50 and 640. And Tara is really outstanding as ever. ...27 years old, first person to take 5 World Championship titles at trials. Oh, dear me, well, yeah, he's in big trouble here. That was a case of fall on your face or another part of the anatomy. He seems to have managed to save both. Well, Jordi Tarazin gets 5 points for that particular section, and he's going to have to get a lot right if he wants to end up in the final 4. Let's take another look at it. Oh. Yes, as confirmed by our pictures, Jordi Taraz didn't manage to miss all parts of his anatomy. And that's how it ended up after the first 6. 2 men pick up an extra point for being over 7 minutes long. And I think that's wrong from Avala. I think he got 3 points in his first round. We're going to be back after a break. Join us again for the action soon.
Eurosport.
Jean-Luc Nictou, 20 years old. Says it all, 15th in the World Championship in 1993. He's using a Beta Techno 250. Hobbies, skiing, surfing and sports mechanics. Well, that serves him right for his trouble, doesn't it? Jean-Luc. And we wait to see how he feels good on this new bike. This is a new bike to him. And he's impressed by Bercy. So we'll see how much he's impressed by this. He figures among the best 3 of French riders nowadays. He's the great French hope. First time at Bercy, but he knows the course. So up onto the cable reels. This is the final now. We have 4 men that have gone through to the final. Jean-Luc is one of them. We can see why. Remember, the elapsed time for each section is the lower right-hand part of your screen. Any points. In other words, anytime these men put their foot down or otherwise fail on the course, you will see in the lower left-hand side of your screen. Number 2 going through there is Marc Coloma, the Spanish Beta rider, 19 years old now. That man is really flying at the moment. Meanwhile, not such is Jean-Luc. Finds himself in all sorts of trouble at the top of the reels. Well, you can lean against the reel, you're just not allowed to put your feet down. That's 1 point. The other riders will be 2 points. The other riders will be wandering around to see how these guys are getting through on the final and what's getting slippery. That's going to be a fail. 5 points, I'm sure. Yes, it is. 5 points there. Number 3 there, sitting there watching, is Tommy Avala. Avala gets a good look. Well, it's going to be his turn soon, I'll say. So Steve Colley is 5. 3 is Tommy Avala, the Finnish rider. Jean-Luc Nictou then, confirmed as getting 5 points. Well, that was on section number 1. I don't suppose we really need to take another look at it. In exasperation, Jean-Luc tries to get his bike over that final reel. Takes another dab. 1 point for putting your foot down once, 2 for putting it down twice, 3 for putting it down 3 times, and if you put it down more than 3 times, you get 5 points and you're out of it, basically. Marc Coloma then, the man doing the business at the moment, 19 years old. Second in the World Championship in 93, 3 Grand Prix victories, and this man really is happening at the moment. 19 years old. Started very young, almost born into trials. He's quick, he is precise. But if he makes a big error, he could lose concentration. Taking his time over this section number 1. 11th in the World Championship, 1991 on a Montesa. 5th in his second season in 1992. Unbelievably 5th in the World Championship. 2nd in 1993. 3 Grand Prix victories. Riding a Beta. His hobbies, 100% trial. It's his passion. Jordi Torres and Mark Coloma, basically head-to-head battling outdoor trials and indoor trials. The World Championship in 1993 outdoor ended up Jordi Torres taking the win from Mark Coloma, from Tommy Avala, from Amos Bilbao. Those four are here. Indoor World Cup trials, Tommy Avala took the win from Jordi Torres, from Diego Bosis, and Mark Coloma was fourth in the Indoor World Cup last year. But this year, it could all be different. At the moment, he leads the series with 822 points. So everything to count for here. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So Mark Coloma then, dedicated Spaniard, unbelievable control. 1 minute 49, gets himself out of there nice and clean over his first section. And take the applause he may well. So number 2, Mark Coloma on section 1, cleans it, no points. Steve Colley from Great Britain. Number 5, Steve Colley. British champion 93, 8th in the World Championship in 93. Colley having a good year. As I said before, 21 at this point, but by the time you see this, he'll be 22. Just 3 very successful seasons. First GP victory in Finland, 93. A great style. Known as being a very fair man. Great potential in Great Britain. Has he the will to win his first time in Bercy? And he's looking very, very good. Steve Colley then. Well, he's popular in Great Britain and he'll be building on that here in France. Started trials at 6 years old. First real trial at 7 on a Yamaha TY80. Finished second in all 3 categories in schoolboy trials. Never quite win the schoolboy championship. Let's hope that's not a mark of tonight either. 10th in the British Championship in 1990, 2nd in 91 and 92. Won the 92 and 93 Scottish 6-day trial. As I've already said, British champion 93, taking his time over this first section. 13th in the 1991 World Championship, 9th in the 92 World Championship, 1 improvement to 8th in the 93 World Championship. And as I've said, won 1 Grand Prix in Finland in 93, foot down, so he's beta. Beta driven, 1 point lost. At the end of all this, the man with the least points lost, for you non-trials people, will be the winner, and he will be awarded the most points towards the World Championship. Hope that doesn't confuse you too much. There is a scoring anomaly with World Indoor Trials, depending on the standard of entry that the organisers have managed to attract. The normal scores for World Championship trials outdoors will go 20, 17, 15, so on and so forth, down to 1 point for winning an outdoor trial. But because of the standard for indoor trials, you multiply that by either 5 if it's a good quality entry, or 2 if it's not such a good quality entry. If you weren't confused before, I know you certainly will be now. I won't try and elaborate on that at all. As Steve Colley gets out of the first section, well, he'll be slightly disappointed with that 1 dab. You can see there just how hard, there it is, the dab. You can see how hard the tyres have to work here, not to mention the riders. So Steve Colley, a good ride from him then. Next man out, Tommy Avala, 22 years old from Finland. 3rd in the 93 World Championship, 5 Grand Prix victories, riding a Fantic and cites skiing as his hobby. Oh, dear me, Fantic Kiru to be precise, is his mode of transport today here at Bercy. A bit inconsistent at indoor trials is this man. Mentally very good, providing he starts well. Well, he's through to the final, so he's halfway there, so to speak. born in Helsinki. Three Finnish titles. Nordic champion in '88. And Finnish national champion 89, 90, 91, 92 and 93 on an Aprilia. Champion of the world in 1992. Perfect was the word said. So obviously appreciated. Number 3, Tommy Avala. Clock ticking. Remember, 7 minutes. These men have to complete all 6 sections. Oh, and that's a 5, most definitely. Oh, dear me, that wasn't very comfortable. Well, Tommy Avala there gets off in a way that he wouldn't have wanted to. Well, that's what the marshals are all there for, to try and catch him. But, well, good to see he's okay, but gets a horrible 5 and a horrible get-off. Let's take another look at that. Really, the man that shouted perfect, well, I bet he wears a gag next time. Let's take a look how he did this. He held on to the bike, but really found himself and the bike completely unbalanced. The marshal just missed grabbing the front wheel. Very nasty indeed. Right, remember I said this theme was about things happening in Paris. Well, quite where this comes into it, this is the underground happening, because these are drainage pipes. Le Béton is the rather poorly pronounced correct name for this second section. And the first man up is number 7, Jean-Luc Nictou. Successfully on there. So Jean-Luc, perhaps surprised to find himself, or perhaps not, in the final over some fairly illustrious company that got knocked out in the earlier part of today's racing, or trialling as I ought to really call it. Jean-Luc Nictou then, riding a beater, warming his tyres perhaps. Oh, dear me. Well, they really are catching a few boys out today. So Jean-Luc Nictou, thank heavens for trials men and their reactions, because he managed to grab that bike before the bike took him straight down it to a Parisian drain, which, believe me, isn't a place to be. Oh, dear me, so unlucky. Really, he had that all but sorted. Take another look at it from another angle. He got it, yes, just unlucky. 1 inch further on there, or shall I say 2.5 centimetres, seeing as we're here in Paris. Number 5 wandering around is Steve Colley, but Jean-Luc, not a happy man. Second man, Marc Colomer, 19 years old, extremely popular. So, leading the World Indoor Trials Championship at the moment. Looking superb. Well, he was second in his national championship behind Therese in 92 and 93. He won't be, oh dear me. Well, not happy on the Parisian drainage pipes. Also a 5. So this really is being thrown open at the moment. Some of the hot favourites are finding themselves in all sorts of trouble here. Well, concrete not being as grippy as he's used to it being, obviously, so Colomer goes out there. Says trials are his passion 100%. Well, he might not be so passionate about it after that. Number 5, Steve Colley. Well, can Steve Colley pinch a few points here? Because really, at the moment, such a lot of mistakes from people we wouldn't have expected. Remember, they've all had to go around here previously, so they all ought to know it fairly well. You can see the skid marks from the tyres of Colomer's bike that's just gone off the side of the pipe. Steve Colley makes no such mistake. Oh, yes, he does. Deary, deary me. Well, Steve Colley. The pressure of tonight's indoor performance is getting to all the good guys. Exasperation shows in the hand of Steve Colley. You can see the effort he went to try and hold on to that, but when you got to go, you've got to go. Right, Tommy Avala. We wait with bated breath to see whether he has it all sussed out. Well, that's a dab already, so 1 point lost, just 3 seconds into the pipes. Keep your eye on the clock on the right. Remember, these men not only have to watch what they're doing, but they have to get across here quite quickly because they will pick up a penalty point, and that's another one out of this. Well, I reckon they grease these pipes tonight. And Tommy Avala will think that as well, I'm sure. So the Finn goes the way of... Let's take another look at it, and that does really look very slippery, doesn't it? So, jam between the pipes. Tommy Avala, the frustration showing on his face. And this final really is wide, wide open. Well, that's how it ended after the first couple of rounds. Join us after the break for section number 3.
Eurosport.
The 1994 World Cup. Eurosport takes you on the road to the United States with a...
Well, there's a few very disappointed high-class riders here at the moment. Struggling like mad over the course, and really this course is absolutely unbelievable. You can't quite get the idea of just how tough it is when you're watching it on a monitor. Number 7 there, Jean-Luc Nictou. Beaubourg is the name of this particular contraption. It's apparently made up. Oh, nicely done, I have to say. Jean-Luc then gets a foot in the works. This is supposed to represent the likes of a famous exhibition hall that's here in Paris. So on the Parisian theme still. I'm sure the designers of the exhibition hall will be horrified to think that this is how it looks, Bercy style. 20 years old, on his beater. Beaubourg is the name of the section, and he charges for it. So 52 seconds gets Jean-Luc through that section with just 1 point lost. And being a Frenchman, of course, the crowd appreciate his effort. Just the 1 point lost. Remember, this is indoors, and it does get warm in here. Next man up, number 2, Marc Coloma. I should think he's going to want to take his time with this. Well, he won 2 World Championship push bike titles, believe it or not. Well, I'm not going to make any comment about that because I think his body language says it all. Marc Coloma then really, really a very unhappy man indeed. And finds himself in big, big trouble here. Well, one wonders how he's going to be able to grab it back from this. Oh, just lost it on that angled section, and you can see front wheel, just no grip, foot down, but not enough space left to drag it all back. Next man, Steve Colley then. What can the Brit do? Nicely up over the French oil drums. No guessing for who might have a hand in sponsorship here. 10 seconds gone so far. Steve Colley, extremely popular in Great Britain. Riding a beater. Sponsors by Manx Beater, Alpine Star, Silkley, Michelin, Anson, and John Lampkin Imports for his sins. Well, looking good at the moment, if we get to see it, that is. One of the marshals just slightly impeding our camera. 40 seconds gone so far, and Steve Colley looks very, very good indeed. Yes, and the French rise to salute the Englishman. Steve Colley then gets through with no points left. Puts him through to the lead of this championship at the moment. have a look at the style of Steve Colley, and really you can see that he didn't have very much to play with there, did he? Tommy Avala, what can the Finn do? This, remember, is the third of 6 sections. This is the final. 100 points at stake for the winner. It'll be between these men. Indoor trials made for the fit and the young. And this one just 22 years old. Encouragement again from the sidelines. You wouldn't have got away with that a few years ago. But then I'm showing my age now. Oh, almost made to look too easy. Well, is Tommy Avala, like Steve Colley, going to go through clean? He'll be pleased with the points if he does. Taking his time over it. Not that you've got that much time to be wasted here. Oh, dear me. The second I thought we were going over the back. Tommy Avala, though, goes through clean, and that takes him through into second place. Let's take another look. This is him finishing reasonably neatly. Machine control, clutch, front brake, suspension, body weight, you name it, trials men use it. And that's it after 3 rounds. So Steve Colley leads from Mark Coloma, Avala in third, Nick 2 is in fourth. But still, anything can happen at the moment, as you can see from the points position. Now then, it's the stock cars next. Our 4th section. Marshals mount the section, as will Jean-Luc Nick 2. That's it, give it some rev, boy. Oh, dear me. Well, good job it hadn't got the sunroof open. You can see the dust in here, though. That's not going to make it too grippy for these men who go first. So Jean-Luc Nick 2 really, I did say, probably found himself slightly surprised to be in amongst the rather illustrious company here, and finds himself extremely unlucky and launches himself straight into the sunroof. Well, Jean-Luc finished 15th in the World Championship last year. That is the outdoor World Championship, I should say. I don't know what type of car that was. Poor Jean-Luc, I actually feel very sorry for him because he didn't look at all happy with that. Jean-Luc is out. Next man up, number 2, Mark Coloma. So the 19-year-old Spaniard gets himself ready. Well, Jean-Luc hangs his head in disgust. Well, great shame. But all's fair in love, war and trials. Mark Coloma then gets a big round of applause from the huge crowd here in Bercy. As usual, Bercy is sold out. Positioning himself. Oh, unbelievable control. Not only has he got the bike to worry about, but the suspension on the car's wobbling around everywhere underneath him. Selects another gear. 11 seconds gone. Coaching from the sidelines. Incredible control. Anybody that rides a motorcycle could not possibly appreciate just how difficult this is unless you ride in this standard of trials. And that is incredible. Well, I'm in awe. I know there's a few competitors watching this Eurosport coverage today. And not just trials men either. I bumped into one trials riding, team managing, road racing type person, Rob McElnay, the other day, and Rob Mack was giving me the lowdown on this. And Rob's no mean trials rider himself, but doesn't come up anywhere near to the standard of these guys. Mind you, he's a lot bigger. So, Mark Coloma, just 19 years old, 3 Trials Grand Prix victories to his name already. Riding a beater, lives, breathes, sleeps and dreams about trials riding. and wants to win here tonight. Current leader in the series. He looks more in control than I would when he's out of control. So Coloma cleans it. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Goes into second place now. Steve Colley. It looks like it's hot inside this stadium. Steve Colley looks like he's already got a sweat. So that's probably why he's not going to waste any time. Well, where others dally, Colley just flies through. So Steve Colley then making short and light work of the stock cars. These cars, by the way, are cars that have been taken in just off the French street, Parisian street. This is what they look like generally in Paris. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Steve Colley then is hitting absolutely superb form here in Bercy, just when he needs to. Colley could be on for winning tonight. One dab, shame, real shame. Two, just not any grip on that paintwork. I reckon that Frenchman must have been polishing his car. I was actually joking when I said these were jagged off the street, just in case you were guessing. Oh, Steve Colley, a little twirl at the end of that section. So Steve Colley gets safely through the line and then does us a little twirl. 2 points, still in first place. So could we have a Brit winning here in Bercy? Well, I think that'll make the crowd go a bit sour, except for the British contingent, of which there are few. Unlucky there. Colley's superb start to this section came apart on the paintwork of this particular car. And remember, this section, like an outdoor section, is changing as the roofs get dented and the grip changes. Tommy Avala. Well, going very well at the moment, currently in third place. Since that's only out of 4 in the final. He'll want to improve on that slightly. Third in the series so far on 624 points. Jordi Tarrés, who hasn't made it through to the final part of today's programme, is in second place on 728. And remember, Coloma is in the lead on 822. That's before Bercy, so 100 points up for grabs. Second place will grab you 85, third 75, and fourth 65. Steve Colley is currently 7th in the World Indoor Trials Championship. And I look down my list and he's on 266 points at the moment. So Steve Colley has quite a lot of catching up to do. Oh, well, Tommy Arthur, well, he's hanging on to it there. Tommy Arthur there. I thought he was going again, then cut me in mid-speech. Tommy Arthur. Well, he's certainly making hard work of it, but he's hanging on in there. 3 points, my reckoning. Yep, and he is still in third place. Not going to be happy with that. And you can see there just how much of a struggle brute force and ignorance got him through on that particular one. Well, probably not ignorance, but certainly brute force. Tommy Arthur from Finland taking a bit of a dive. Well, join us for the conclusion. You can see there the points at the moment. Steve Colley from Britain is leading. Join us after this break for the conclusion.
Eurosport.
Luke Nictou on the Impossible Mountain. And it really is a tough order. This is the longest section in the stadium, right up the walls of the stadium. Jean-Luc, 4th out of 4 in the final tonight here in Bercy. Got a lot to do. Well, Jean-Luc Nictou getting the applause of the French crowd. He's currently 11th in the World Indoor Trials Championship. The FIM, incidentally, took over the World Championship. Whoops, another leg down there, so another foot. So 1992 was the first indoor trials World Championship under FIM regulations. Run between November and April as a winter series. Each country can organise as many events as it wants to. And the criteria for the scoring, which is somewhat difficult to follow. Oh, poor Jean-Luc, really, I feel so sorry for the man. He has tried so hard tonight. Jean-Luc Nictou then, 20 years old, giving it his all in front of his home crowd. Remember the pressure that this man is under at the moment. He's under extreme pressure. He's the only Frenchman in the final. Christophe Camozzi, Bruno Camozzi went out. And really, this man is trying to hold up French hopes here in Bercy. And as I said before, if you've been here in Bercy, you'll realise the kind of pressure that he would be under. It is a superb stadium, but you really feel the pressure. Getting back to what I was saying about depending on the level of riders they get as an entry, will make for a different scoring system. So if you've got a good quality of riders, and it is a very precise determination, then you'll get 100 points for a win. If you have a B-rated indoor trial, then you'll only get 40 points for a win. It's very, very confusing unless you can follow it on paper. Even more difficult for me to try and explain to you. Marc Coloma then, the man currently in second place behind Britain's Steve Colley tonight here in Bercy. 19 years old, and if he's going to do anything, he really needs to get this absolutely right, because Steve Colley leads him at the moment. Bercy as quiet as I've ever heard it. Trying to coax everything out of his beater. Well, I did say earlier, if he makes an error, he may lose concentration. But I also said he was also quick and precise. Which is it going to be up the impossible mountain? This is the penultimate section of tonight's competition. Just one more to go. My favourite, as it happens. Oh. One dab. So we've got a point and 1 minute and 6 seconds already gone. It could well be on... if he's not very careful, 7 minutes is all you've got to complete the entire 6 sections. Otherwise, you get 1 point penalty added to whatever penalty points you've already gained for yourself. Well, it's obviously to encourage a faster and more entertaining indoor trial, which is important, of course, certainly from a television point of view. Otherwise, we'd be here all night with one rider trying to get up the impossible mountain. Coloma, though, doesn't seem to be bothered too much about the time elapsed. He's just working it out, getting himself perfectly positioned. You can see there, that's the height of the bike that he's got to leap up. He's also got a gap to get over, so another one, so 2 points. 2 points then, Marc Coloma on this one so far. Nearly 2 minutes gone, there it is. Born in 1974, just 19 years old. Two-time second in his national championship, 2 times world champion push bike rider, incredibly. 11th in the 91 world championship on a Montesa, 5th in his second year in world trials. Now veritably flying and putting on the style. 2:37 is his time as he clips the concrete post. Looks up to see exactly what the time elapsed is so far. Marc Coloma, second place still with 2 points lost. Wasted no time on the way down, and Steve Colley is not going to waste any time on his way up. So, tonight's leader is on the penultimate section of the night. I make it just 1 point in front of Coloma. if he manages to successfully get through this section. In fact, that's not quite correct. As ever, my scoreboard has gone completely chaotic, but I can tell you that this man, Steve Colley, leads going into this last section. And we'll see whether he still does when he comes out of it. Foot down. Another beater. Just a one outdoor World Championship victory to his name. Finland 93. A great style. Willing himself to get over these things. Talking to himself around here. Coaching from the sidelines. Well done, Steve Colley, brilliant. And the French are really behind this man. I have to say that there's the whole crowd here in Bercy are absolutely behind Steve Colley. Just listen to the roar. Born on the 7th of March. Oh, disaster for Steve Colley. A disaster for Steve Colley. 5 points scored, which I think will put him back to second place after this section. I was about to say the man from Onken on the Isle of Man, just as he jumps off, oh, it drops into third place. Well, as I said, my scoring's never that particularly good as we go along in an event. Wow, Steve Colley. Well, what can I say? My heart goes out to him. A disaster, just off balance. Well, self-preservation came into the order there. Terrible for Steve Colley. Just couldn't stop the lot. Would have gone down head first if he'd made it, if he'd stayed with the bike. Decided to bail out. So, Coloma then leads. Avala should be in second place, but he's got this to do yet. And Colley drops back to third. This is Tommy Avala. What can the man make of it? Riding a Fantic. He says he prefers skiing as his hobby. No snow on this particular impossible mountain, as it's named. Monte Impossible. Born the 13th of November 1971 in Helsinki. 22 years old and making a job of this. So, Avala trying to launch himself up the list.
That's it. A little more.
Oh, very good. I love his team member there, giving him perfect, wonderful, massaging the ego all the way, and really Avala there looked like he was going to tip to the right, but caught it brilliantly. Right in the top of the stadium now. It's a long way up there, believe me. Paris Bercy, the stadium here right next to the Seine. A great venue for all sorts of indoor activity. You can't believe what they put on in this stadium. But indoor trials is one of the better ones. You'll also remember the numero uno, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion anyway, of Supercross, which is also held here at Bercy. They really know how to promote superb indoor sport. Tommy Avala on Colley's downfall, looks at the time clock, 2:18, 2:19, cross the line in 2:21, so Tommy Avala brilliantly gets through the impossible mountain. No points lost. Avala in second place. Coloma leads. Avala in second place. Colli is third. And fourth is the luckless Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc Nictou is in fourth place. Doesn't deserve to be after the effort he's put in, but that's what happens in World Indoor Trials. Now then, can Avala upset the apple cart? This is how it stands at the moment. 12 points to Coloma, 13 points Colli, 13 points Avala, 21 points Nictou. Nictou's out of this, but really with just 1 point between first and second and third. This is Vitesse Parallèle. And not only have you got to get over here without putting your feet down or any other infringements, you've also got to get over here first, because otherwise, if you finish second, you get an extra point awarded to you. Number 2 is Marc Coloma. Beside him is Jean-Luc Nictou, number 7. And Coloma, the man winning here this evening, he's making light work of it. And again, Jean-Luc continuing with bad luck. Well, there goes your man of the moment. And really, it's going to be a good man that beats Coloma, but he has actually made a few mistakes tonight. But not on that particular one, so far. On their way back then. Oh, dear me. Coloma might well be beaten here by Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc Nictou, if he beats him, Coloma will pick up a point, even if he manages to keep his feet up on the pegs, and I think he has so far. You can hear the crowd getting behind the Frenchman. Well, Jean-Luc, are you going to do it? Go for broke. They both know what they've got to do. At the moment, Coloma just about has the up. And I think it was just Coloma. Yes, it was. Jean-Luc Nictou, though, regaining French pride. A great drive from him. Just 1 second between the two. But it was Coloma who ends up very well placed after the final section. Remember, that is the final section tonight. This is Jean-Luc finding himself slightly unbalanced. Actually did well to even stay with that. You're looking at Coloma number 2. Well, I still ask how they do it. Not that they probably tell me. In fact, they'd probably say, have a go, Ewan, and make a fool of yourself. Next up then, Avala versus Steve Colli. Colli needs this. Colli really needs to fly here. He needs to be first across the line with no faults whatsoever. He must gain no penalty points if he's to grab that second place. Well, Colli has to beat Avala if he's going to get second place, because Avala holds it at the moment. So Finn versus Isle of Man resident. He still have somewhere to stick his money. So Colli off to a great start. Come on, Steve. I'm right behind you, man. Steve Colli then in the lead on the Vitesse parallel race. Head to head is worth an extra point to the winner. Or should I say, worth a point down to the loser. Steve Colli's got to clean this though if he can, and Avala's in all sorts of trouble, so Steve Colli really could find himself here if he can do it in the right time. Remember, it's against the clock as well to get the order. Go on, Steve, up the jump. Brilliant stuff. Steve Colli then takes it. Avala's going to be behind him, that's for sure. Tommy Avala still not finished yet. It's all down to this man. If he faults too much on this, it's going to be Colli who gets second place. I think Coloma's going to win it. Readjustment of personal protection, I think we call it nowadays. Avala then, I think, ends up in third place. My scoring's not been accurate all night. Yes, he does. Coloma takes it. Colli in second place. Avala in third. that's how it drops. Those are the 4 men that you didn't see that didn't get into the final. Teres, Camozzi, Bilbao, and Camozzi in 8th and final place. Steve Colley ends up a great 2nd place, but it was Coloma who took the win. Hope you enjoyed World Trials here on Eurosport.